All right, it is 20 minutes gone past five, and you are tuned into Business Hub on Smooth 98.1. My name is Joy Rege, and today on Business Hub, well, we'll be talking about something that has gotten some people asking questions, and that has to do with the crude oil deal business. And well, we'll be getting more insight as to if and how it will work basically. And my guest this evening is in the person of David Gwatau, and he is an investment research analyst at ARM Securities. Good evening, and great to have you here, even on the holiday.
Hello, good evening, and happy independence to you too.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's see, even getting to all this conversation that seems to have gotten a lot of people like in a fix and so much more, because they've been itching to have this conversation, like, where are we going to, what is it going to look like, what's the plan? Can you actually just explain to us how the Naira for crude deal will work?
Okay, sure. Thank you for that question. So the Naira for Crude deal is basically a policy implemented by the Nigerian government through the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration that is aimed at reducing the country's dependence on foreign exchange and also
Right.
boosting its local economy. It basically involves the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, that's the
Mm-hmm.
NNPC,
Mm-hmm.
selling crude oil to local refineries, such as the Dangote refinery, right? And this crude oil will be sold in Naira instead of any foreign currency, like, for example, the dollar, right? In late, in late July 2024,
Right.
President Bola Tinubu, through an executive order, approved the sale of crude oil to local refineries in Naira. The deal would be structured in such a way that NNPC would deliver crude oil to the Dangote refinery, and in turn, the Dangote refinery would supply the nominal value equivalent of PMS to the NNPC. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and this deal will be priced in Naira completely. So, yeah, that's exactly how it's going to work.
Well, it's actually exciting when we think about it that hey, wouldn't have to be buying anything in dollars. And hopefully once we start buying it in Naira, well, there's that notion that once we're buying crude oil in Naira, the whole thing is going to be reduced. We're going to be having for next to nothing. But it seems that there's more benefit. It'll be more beneficial to Dangote refinery than to the Nigerian government if they should go along this line. But well, how do you think it will benefit both sides at the end of the day, so that there's no um, bad blood underneath? Because we've been having this back and forth over, okay, when NMPCL came out and said, oh, we're buying it at a certain price. And, Dangote came out and
Yeah.
said, no, that's not how, no, you are not buying it at that price. And then we're having this back and forth of, oh, this is how many we are getting, this is how many. So what help us make sense of this? How is it going to be at the end of the day?
Oh, well, uh, so I mean, I wouldn't quite say that the Dangote refinery will be better off from
Okay.
this deal than the NNPC or even Nigeria as a whole. So
Mm,
my sense is that while Dangote will certainly benefit from purchasing crude oil in Naira,
mm-hmm.
it would imply that you'll be avoiding the hassle of sourcing scarce FX, resources, and
Right.
also conversion losses from converting Naira to the dollar, which will be
Mm-hmm.
avoided. I feel like the real winner in this deal is Nigeria. I mean, it's the NNPC and Nigeria as a whole. This
Right.
deal basically marks an important first step towards
First having
securing
it here.
energy independence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also ensures a more efficient supply for petroleum resources within the country. I also see that it will also reduce, the outflow of foreign exchange,
Mm-hmm.
which will significantly curb inflation, which I mean, inflation has been our biggest headache for a while. Uh,
Okay.
Additionally, I would say that having the entire supply chain for petroleum resources that will be run domestically, like within the country,
Right.
will significantly stimulate the economy, business
Mm-hmm.
activity and all. In the end, Nigeria stands to gain the most from this arrangement.
Okay. Because I was actually thinking it's going to be a win-win at the end of the day. But now that you put it in this perspective, it makes you even look at things introspectively so that it doesn't look like one person is, as they say, cheating the other person and
Yeah, I
taking
mean, that's
the.
Nigerians get.
But at the end of the day, well, the thing there is any business mogul is always looking at not just making profit, but making sure that there's a margin that he's not going to be at a loss of.
Yes, of
But um, let's even talk about something else, right? Some say that the government is losing out on US dollar revenue, and well, now you're also saying that won't have to be buying it in dollars. That's the crude in well, Dangote refinery wouldn't be buying crude in dollars, but rather it would be in naira. Can
yeah.
that be mitigated by the exchange rate used for the naira crude sales?
Uh, I think my answer to that question would be yes. Um,
Okay.
the exchange rates for the crude sales,
Mm-hmm.
based on the information that we have, is that it's going to be fixed. It's going to be fixed rates agreed upon between both parties, and it's
Okay.
going to be based on global benchmark prices. So they'll
Mm.
be drawing the Brent. I mean, Nigerian crude is tied to the Brent, so uh, it's most likely mirror Brent prices, right, on a global scale.
Okay. Right.
Uh,
Mm.
Nigeria might also be foregoing some dollar-based revenue from selling crude oil, right, in Naira. However,
Okay.
I mean, I believe that the impact of reduced pressures on the country's foreign exchange would be a greater benefit for the country. And as I mentioned, right, the benefits that the government and Nigeria as a whole stand to get from this deal. Uh, it's true.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll, go ahead. Share your thoughts.
Right. Even so, I mean, basically, I'm just saying that Nigeria, the government wouldn't be losing much from selling crude oil in naira. The what they would be have been losing would be made up for through the savings of foreign exchange expenditures. So right,
Mm. Mm.
that's it.
But is the Dangote refinery the only beneficiary of this deal, or are there other refineries that will also benefit from this as well? Because yes, I know that he's settled here, but we also have other refiners for other refineries that we're still trying to make sure that it becomes more functional, let me put it that way. So will those other refineries as well be benefiting from this, or is this just for Dangote refinery?
No, Dangote would definitely not be the only beneficiary. Uh,
Okay.
I know, yes, everything looks like it's just centered around Dangote right now, but
Right. Just right now, actually.
yeah,
Yes.
uh, you know, the executive order actually grants the sale of crude oil to domestic refineries, right? So domestic refineries is an encapsulating statement, right? It covers all refineries within um, the Nigeria jurisdiction. So I feel, yeah, it's going to Dangote is the face of this deal, of course.
Mm.
He has the biggest refinery. He is the one who is ready to roll out products already. So yes, he is the face of the deal, but it's going to spill over to every other domestic refinery. It's the government's way of uh, growing domestic production of crude oil products. Yeah, so that's it.
Well, we're always looking at how we can make better headway when it comes to our refineries, and it's so far so good, right? Most people just assume that this whole thing is just centered around Dangote, like you've actually noted, but there's so much more that's at stake because if it's favorable to him, best believe it's also going to be favoring those other refineries. It's not just going to be, oh, okay, we're passing back and just letting him slide, and anything he wants, it'll be offered to on a platter go to. a lot have questions around how this whole deal is going to go through, but they're waiting to see, okay, so if it's great for him, then it will also you know, for the other refineries rather, it will toe the same line, and everybody will have something to hold on to eventually. But we'll be speaking more regarding you know, petrol sales and all that, because that is like the major thing for any Nigerian. They're just looking at, okay, so now that you're selling it in Naira, can we just have the fuel crash and just probably go back to buying fuel at 150? But you know what? We'll have a conversation on the other side of the screen breather. If that's ever going to be possible, well, fingers crossed, and we'll see how that actually pans out. But let's take this quick breather. On the other side, we will talk about all that petrol subsidy and what have you on the other side of this quick breather. Lagos and Gono, stay tuned to Smooth 98.1.
98.1. Keep listening. What if we told you that you could bank your way to millions? Yes, you heard that right. Introducing
most people just want to hear that, oh, okay, we can get fuel, and hey, it is 15 naira self.
That's not being realistic at all. I mean, at all. I think we had
This cannot work.
Previous previous broadcast, where I explained why it cannot possibly be cheaper than
Okay.
what we're selling at. It's not realistic at all. My go-to point is just comparing global prices, right?
Right.
Yes, just comparing global.
But if you want if you want there's a term that they use for it in the US. There's the how come I forgotten it just right now? Sorry?
No, go ahead. I'm not sure what term you're looking for.
I'll probably remember on the other side, and I'll reference it when we're having that conversation. I know it will come back. Well, let's get back into the conversation before Lagos says, they're having conversations behind us and we're not in it. All right, 32 minutes gone past 5. You tune in to Smooth 98.1, and it's a Tuesday evening, and we're talking about well, on Business Hub today. Well, we're basically talking about the Naira for crude oil deal that begins today, being October 1st. And my guest this evening is David Gwatau. He is Investment Research Analyst at ARM Securities, and he's been, you know, shedding some light as well, telling or like explaining things as best as he can regarding this whole deal and how it will favor certain people, or generally Nigerians at large. But let's even go back. Let's talk about the petrol sales from the refinery. Yes, so I know that Dangote has invested so much into this refinery. He took some loans out, and like any business man or woman, you know, the whole idea is, well, we're into business to make money, to make profits, and seeing how certain markets forces started to operate when he first got in, it kind of gave him cause for concern. But with respect to the petrol sales from the refinery, we understand that oil marketers are now seeking to deal directly with Dangote Refinery instead of buying from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. What do you make of this development?
Well, I mean, it's hard to understand exactly what the marketers are, are backing at. What exactly the problems? Are they just trying to avoid, the regulatory hassles or any, issues of accessing crude oil through the NNPC?
Right.
But my sense is that the oil marketers are looking to capitalize on the elevated prices in the deregulated markets. So, I mean, the fact that NNPC remains the sole off-taker of PMS suggests that NNPC still wants to retain a certain kind of control over
right,
which would I mean, by in some way imply that they still want to subsidize the product in, when it comes to the the end users. If Dangote decides to sell, for, I mean, just an example would be, just hypothetically, if Dangote decides to sell crude oil to NNPC at 1,200 per liter, he will likely sell. Uh, I mean, he will sell to NNPC at 1,200 per liter. NNPC will likely sell to oil marketers at lower rates, right? Maybe say 900, 896 as it is currently sold, which would basically reduce the spread, the profit spread for marketers. Uh, However, if marketers purchase, I mean, directly from Dangote refinery at market rates, they will also have to sell these products at the pumps at market reflective rates. So maybe we will have to be buying petrol at 1,500. There's no subsidy coming from the government. Government is not regulating anything. I mean, of course, the more profitable situation for the marketers. So I think that's exactly what they want.
Well, so many thoughts actually in my head right now, and I'm just wondering, okay, so if this is how you want things to pan out, are you ready for how the trickle effect, and how it will eventually be for the average Nigerian? But even bearing that in mind, I know that the NNPCL says they bought the petrol from the refinery at 898 naira per liter, while others in the downstream sector say they like Total Energies, Rano, and the like said that they've got it from NNPCL this time around for 765 naira per liter. And I'm trying to do the maths, right? And it's not mathing in my head, if there's anything like that. So in your own estimate, where does that put the final price of PMS when you and I actually go and buy? Because the rates we see on outside, some people are even outside Lagos. I know some people still got I know someone in Port Harcourt said they got to buy fuel at 1,400. So how are we getting to these prices? And help me make sense of this. I know that there are still subsidies that we need to just tackle and deal with, which we've been told there's no subsidy. But if other downstream sectors are getting from the NNPCL at the rate of 765 naira, how are they getting it at that rate?
So I mean, this just points to the subsidy I earlier you referred to.
Okay.
Governments back Dangote at so NNPC, of course, who are representing the government, buy Dangote at cheap at premium prices, and then sell at discounts to the oil marketers. I think that's just their way of regulating pump prices. I believe that NNPC targets to maintain pump prices, that's PMS pump prices, below 1,000 or at about 1,000 naira per liter. Currently, I know that Lagos has the cheapest, PMS sells the cheapest in Lagos.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Down north, I mean, towards Maiduguri, Sokoto, you have expensive, higher prices.
Higher prices, indeed.
Naira, thereabouts. So, I believe also, we could see recently, we saw a statement from the NNPC pleading with the Dangote refinery to offer a discount on PMS sales, right? Which they said would be passed down completely to end users. So, I mean, you can see how governments are really trying to control the prices, manage PMS prices, not to pass a particular range. In my projection, through this deal with Dangote, this swap agreement, I believe that PMS prices should, settle between 900 to 1,000 per liter across the country.
But seeing it as it is now that you're trying to control things, do you think that is actually sustainable long term, or is this something that is just short term, that's why they're trying to manage things eventually would have to, as they say, yank off that band-aid so that you actually can deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with?
Well, as far as sustainability goes, I think as far as this consistent supply of PMS in the market,
Mm-hmm.
I think most of our problems have been settled, right? So governments can continue to, use the partial subsidy, continue with the partial subsidy, just
Mm.
to just to control, the effect on inflation and consumer wallets, basically. So yeah, in short term, it is sustainable. I believe that the end goal will be to scrap the PMS subsidy completely.
Subsidy eventually. Mm. All right. I know that earlier on you were talking about Brent crude and all that. I know presently Brent crude is trading at around $73 per barrel. Do you actually expect it to increase over time or not? And if so, really, what does that actually mean for the price of fuel that we'll be paying for?
Okay, so basically, I believe that crude oil prices will continue to rise, in the coming months, and this would basically be due to the escalating geopolitical tensions, especially in the
Hmm.
uh,
Okay.
specifically between Israel and Hezbollah, right, in Lebanon.
Hezbollah. Hmm.
Um, the recent airstrike in Beirut, just shows like that, which is the capital of Lebanon, it
Right. It,
signals significant escalation in these tensions. Um, Additionally, we've seen increased demand for oil, for oil
right.
products, driven by expanding business activity and global, with the global interest rate cuts, right? We will
Hmm.
most likely see, we've seen interest rate cuts in the US, in the UK, also in the Eurozone, right? Although the UK is more conservative, um, because of this interest rate cuts, we see an expansion in business activities. Businesses are going in full swing, trying to expand and do a lot of things. So this will also boost like the demand for petroleum resources, uh, which will further, raise petrol prices. So I think despite the fixed conversion rates for the Dangote NMPC crude oil exchange deal, rising global prices will likely have just a minimal impact on our crude prices, our prices back here.
Hmm. Okay. And talking about that, right? I know that Nigeria's 2024 budget, the benchmark price is about 77 naira 96 kobo rather, when it comes to crude oil prices. But what does that actually mean for government revenue?
Okay. So I mean, yes, ideally, basically,
Right.
crude oil prices falling below the budget price,
Mm-hmm.
what that budget price benchmark would imply
Right.
lower than anticipated revenue inflow from crude oil exports.
Mm.
However, I do not really expect that the recent
It
decline
will
in
be
crude benchmark prices would significantly affect the country's crude oil revenue target.
right.
And this would be, considering, that bench spot prices. I mean, for example, using the Brent, sorry, which the Nigerian crude oil is being,
It's being
backed.
compared with. Mm.
Yes. So Brent spot prices have consistently remained above an average of 80 US dollars on a monthly
Mm-hmm.
basis this year. So getting, I mean, all the way to August. So just looking at this, and it's more that it's been way above what the government had budgeted as the price benchmark. So I don't see it significantly affecting revenue, at least not this year.
That's actually great to know that it's not going to be that bad. Probably late into mid of next year, then we can start to sort of worry. But for now, I think we're good. Um,
I mean, we still expect benchmark prices to rise again. They're not going to,
right.
they're still going to rise. So we don't really have much to worry about as far as the current prices meeting up with our benchmark prices for the budget. So
but we're not yet at El Dorado just yet.
Yeah.
And very, very natty mind. I know that so far we haven't been hearing much about fuel queues. Seems for some reason it's disappeared. Will that finally be a thing of the past, or is there some unforeseen supply disruption that you see in the future?
Well, from where I am right now, my outlook is, I mean, with the Dangote refinery now operational,
Right, right.
already that has been supplied to the market, and
Mm-hmm.
I for one believe that's exactly what has dissipated all the queues that we're seeing that were there previously.
That's actually good to know, though.
Um, and also if the NNPC continue to supply Dangote with crude oil, consistently, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't anticipate any supply shortages. The significance, I mean, the significance of the Dangote refinery is
Right.
to ensure the availability of petroleum products in the in the local market. I mean, if there's one thing the Dangote refinery is sure to achieve, I think that would be it. So as regards the queues coming back and all the supply chain issues, I think I do not really expect that. However, of course, there are risks to all of this.
Okay.
We cannot ignore the risk associated with NNPC and the deliveries. I mean, we know that NNPC have a lot of forward sales agreements. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they might be cutting Dangote's ration. Dangote might have to start to source. I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
bureaucracy works and all of that. Uh, and also risk from the side of the oil marketers, so
Right.
the retail marketers. I mean, we can't really say that there will be no risk from there. So but altogether, and on the grand scale of things, I believe that there should be more stable supply of petroleum products within the country.
Okay. Well, that is hope that I'm sure the average Nigerian wants to hear, that he doesn't have to queue for fuel as long as he can actually get that fuel and at a reasonable price as well. Because that's another thing that, if we're being honest, not a lot of people just want to buy fuel. They want to buy it at a reasonable price. So hopefully, with this new deal, we're hoping that things will be a bit more stable, and then would have a specific price for how much it is, and will not have to be speculating, or is it going up today? Is it going to come down tomorrow?
Yes,
And
yes. I think
that is what we're looking forward to, anyways.
a lot of Nigerians will be happy to buy to buy their fuel without having to join queues. I mean, regardless of
Right.
regardless of the price. But of
Oh,
course,
are you sure we got this?
yeah, I'm just speaking for myself.
Okay. Let them not come for you. Well, thank you so much for sharing that insight this evening. I trust you have the rest of the evening to relax and prep for the new day tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure
Oh,
being
it's a
here.
pleasure. All right. Lagos, thank you as well for always coming through and being a part of Business Hub. It comes your way every Tuesday. So yes, next week Tuesday will be another opportunity to